NCERT Class 8 Geography Chapter Human Resources. People are a nation's greatest resource. Nature's boundary becomes significant only when people find it useful. It is people with their demand and ability that turn them into resources. Hence, human resource is the ultimate resource. Healthy, educated, and motivated people develop resources as per their requirement. Human resource is the ultimate resource. Healthy, educated, and motivated people develop resources. Human resources, like other resources, are not equally distributed over the world. They differ in their educational levels, age, and sex. Their numbers and characteristics also keep changing. Human resources, like other resources, are not equally distributed all over the world. It differs in their educational levels, age, and sex. Distribution of population. The way in which people are spread across the Earth's surface is known as distribution of population. The pattern of population distribution. The way in which people are spread across the Earth's surface is known as the pattern of population distribution. More than 90% of the world's population lives in about 30% of the land surface. The distribution of population in the world is extremely uneven. Some areas are very crowded and some are sparsely populated. Crowded areas are South and Southeast Asia, Europe, and Northeastern North America. Very few people live in high latitude areas, tropical deserts, high mountains, and areas of equatorial forests. Many more people live in north of the equator than south of the equator. Almost 3/4 of the world's population live in two countries, Asia and Africa. 60% of the world's people stay in just 10 countries. All of them have more than 100 million people. Density of population. Population density is the number of people living in an unit area of the Earth's surface. Population density is the number of people living in a unit area of the Earth's surface. It is normally expressed as per square kilometer. The average density of population in the whole world is 51 persons per square kilometer. South Central Asia has the highest density of population, followed by East and Southeast Asia. South Central Asia has the highest density. Factors affecting distribution of population. There are mainly 4 factors, that is geographical factors, social factors, cultural factors, and economic factors. Geographical factors: topography, climate, soil, water, minerals. First one, topography. People always prefer to live on plains rather than mountains and plateaus because these areas are suitable for farming, manufacturing, and service activities. The Ganga Plains are the most densely populated areas of the world, while mountains like Alps and Himalayas are sparsely populated. The Ganga Plains are the most densely populated area in the world. Climate. People usually avoid extreme climate that are very hot or very cold, like Sahara Desert, polar regions of Russia, Canada, and Antarctica. Soil. Fertile soil provides suitable land for agriculture. Fertile plains such as Ganga and Brahmaputra in India, the Nile in Egypt are densely populated. Water. People prefer to live in areas where fresh water is easily available. The river valleys of the world are densely populated while deserts have spare population. Minerals. Areas with mineral deposits are more populated. Diamond mines of South Africa and discovery of oil in the Middle East led to settle of people in these areas. Social, cultural, and economic factors. First one, social factors. Areas of better housing, education, and healthcare facilities are most densely populated. Example, Pune. Cultural factors. Places with religion or cultural significance attracted people. Varanasi, Jerusalem, and Vatican City are some examples. Economic factors. Industrial area provide employment opportunities. Large number of people are attracted to these areas. Osaka in Japan and Mumbai in India are two densely populated areas. Population change. The population change refers to the change in the number of people during a specific time. Population change refers to the change in number of people during a specific time. The world's population has not been stable. It has increased manifold as seen in figure 16.3. It is increased like this, figure 16.3. This is actually due to the change in the number of births and deaths. This change in the population is actually due to the changes in the number of births and deaths. For an extremely long period of human history until the 1080s, the world's population grew steadily but slowly. Large number of babies were born but they were died too. This was as there was no proper health facilities. Sufficient food was not available for all the people. Farmers were not able to produce enough to meet the food requirement of all the people. As a result, the total increase in population was very low. So, for an extremely long period of human history, the world's population grew steadily but slowly because there is no proper healthcare facilities. There is no sufficient food for all the people. In 1804, the world's population reached 1 billion. In 1804, the world's population reached 1 billion. 115 years later, in 1959, the world's population reached 3 billion. In 1959, the world's population reached 3 billion. This is often called population explosion. In 1999, 40 years later, the population doubled to 6 billion. The main reason for the growth was that with better food supplies and medicine, deaths were reducing while the number of births still remains fairly high. So why is the population increase? Because the main reason for this growth was that with better food supplies and medicine, deaths were reducing while the number of births still remained fairly high. Births are usually measured using birth rate. Births are usually measured using birth rate, that is the number of live births per 1000 people. Deaths are usually measured using death rate, that is the number of deaths per 1000 people. Migrations is the movement of people in and out of an area. Births and deaths are the natural cause of population change. The difference between the birth rate and the death rate of the country is called natural growth rate. It's called natural growth rate. The population increase in the world is mainly due to rapid increase in natural growth rate. Migration is the another way by which population size changes. The people move within a country or between countries. Emigrants are people who leave a country. Immigrants are those who arrive a country. Immigrants when a person enters a new country. Emigration when a person leaves a country. Countries like the United States of America and Australia had gained in number by in-migration or immigration. Sudan is an example of a country that has experienced a loss in population numbers due to the out-migration, that is, emigration. The general trend of international migration is from the less populated nation to the more populated nations. So the general trend of international migration is from the less developed nations to the more developed nations, less developed nations to the more developed nations, in search for better employment opportunities. Within countries, large number of people may move from the rural to urban areas in search of employment, education, and health facilities. Pattern of population change. Rates of population growth vary across the world. Although the world's total population is rising rapidly, not all countries are experiencing this growth. Some countries like Kenya have high population growth rates. They had both high birth rates and death rates. Now with improving healthcare, death rates have flattened, but birth rates still remain high, leading to high growth rates. In other countries like United Kingdom, population growth is slowing because of both low death and low birth rates. Population composition. How crowded a country is has little to do with its level of economic development. For example, both Bangladesh and Japan are very densely populated, but Japan is far more economically developed than Bangladesh. So, how crowded a country is has little to do with the levels of economic development. Its example is Bangladesh and Japan. If we look, we can see that um, Japan and Bangladesh are both densely populated, but Japan is far more economically developed than Bangladesh. To understand the role of people as a resource, we need to know more about their qualities. People vary greatly in their age, sex, literacy level, health conditions, occupation, and income level. It is essential to understand these characteristics of the people. Population composition refers to the structure of the population. Population composition refers to the structure of the population. The composition of population helps us to know The composition of population helps us to know how many are males or females, which age group they belong to, how educated they are, and what type of occupation they are employed in, what their income levels and health condition are. An interesting way to study the population composition of a country is by looking the population pyramid. It is also called an age-sex pyramid. An interesting way to studying the population composition of a country is by looking the population pyramid. Population pyramid is also called an age-sex pyramid. A population pyramid shows the total population divided into various age groups, example 5 to 9 years, 10 to 14 years on. The percentage of the total population subdivided into males and females in each of those groups. So this is an example of population pyramid. The shape of the population pyramid tells us the story of the people living in that particular country. The shape of the population pyramid tells us the story of people living in that particular country. The number of children are shown at the bottom and reflect the level of births. The size of the top shows the number of aged people and reflect the number of deaths. So the number of children reflect the level of birth. The number of aged people reflect the number of deaths. The population pyramid also tells us how many dependents are there in the country. The population pyramid also tells us how many dependents are there in the country. There are two groups of dependents. Young dependents, that is aged below 15, and elderly dependent that is aged over 65. Those of the working age are the economically active. The population pyramid of a country in which birth and death rates both are high is broad at the base and rapidly narrows towards top. Population pyramid of a country in which birth and death rates both are high is broad at the base and rapidly narrow towards the top. This is because although many children are born, a large percentage of them die in their infancy. Relatively few become adults and there are very few old people. This situation is typified by the pyramid shown for Kenya. In countries where death rates, especially amongst the very young, are decreasing, the pyramid is broad in the younger age group because more infant survives to adult. This can be seen in the pyramid for India. Such population contains a relatively large number of young people, and which means a strong and expanding labor force. In other countries like Japan, low birth rates make the pyramid narrow at the base. Decreased death rates allow number of people to reach old age. Skilled, spirited, and hopeful young people a note with a positive outlook and the future of any nation. We in India are fortunate to have such a resource. They must be educated and provided skill and opportunity to become able and productive. Thank you.